curing units. Is there a universal one that cures all gels? Should you buy one for every brand you own? The answer to these questions and more are coming up in today's episode number 4 of our current Japanese Gel Fundamentals series. Let's begin. Greetings and welcome back. If you are new here, I am Paola of PaolaPonceNails.com, and I have current and aspiring gel nail stylists become thriving entrepreneurs by mastering all of their gel nail services using soft gel only. If this sounds like a niche you like to learn more about, then do consider subscribing. So this topic of curing units is slightly controversial. The experts say, yes, you need to use the lamp that is sold by the brand of products you use. The nail tech, on the other hand, is like, well, I use a number of brands. And the DIYer says, I use a ton of different brands and also don't want to spend over $50 on a curing unit. So what do you do? Yes, you, whether you're DIY or pro. Here's what I do and what I recommend those who contact me to do also. And I get contacted a lot on this topic. Let me go on this tangent a little bit before our curing unit talk. It's super beneficial, I promise. First and foremost, please narrow the amount of brands you use. You have to. This will not only save you money, but also headaches trying to troubleshoot what went wrong in your application with all the different variables of mixing brands. And if you're a licensed nail tech, you're supposed to keep safety data sheets for all of the products you use. Can you imagine the work putting all of those together? And then imagine the thick binder of SDS you'll have to collect. And here's the thing. I think it is absolutely wonderful to be selective. When you are, you're also sending a message to brand manufacturers that they need to earn your business. You're saying, hey, I don't buy into it all so easy. How is your product different? Why should I buy it? You see how beautiful that is? My recommendation on product selection: use no more than 3 brands. For some, this may be really the easiest thing to do as they only have a brand or 2 they're interested in. And for others, it may be a tough decision, kind of like choosing a nail color when getting your nails done, right? And out of those 3 brands, choose the one whose clear gels you will be using regularly, like kind of studying for a little bit. For instance, say you choose Leaf Gel as your main brand for clear gels, then you can use color gels from any one of 3 similar brands. Since I stick to soft potted gel, then my colors can come from Leaf Gel, Cocoas, or Vetro. These are currently the brands that I am sticking to, my 3 core brands. If you're not sure which brand of clear gel to start with, literally just pick one. Use it for 1 or 3 months. If you're busy or fully booked nail tech, you can figure out which one worked best for you in a month's time just by having your return clientele and seeing how it wears. But if you're DIY or just filling up your books, then feel out your clear gel of choice for about 3 months and decide if you want to test out a different brand. What you don't want to do is try a brand once and say it sucks. It's so mean, I think, to a company to do that. Always give them the benefit of the doubt. If they created a product, they believe in it, you know? Always give things a fair shot before moving on. It's life, right? Now, I just want to lightly touch on something in regards to DIY. Keep gels and other products off of your skin at all times. Allergies are ever so prevalent because of constant contact or overexposure of products on the skin. If you need a little help with application, check out the details to my DIY course and see if it is a good fit for you. I'll link you down in the description box below. Now, once you've narrowed down the amount of product lines to 1, 2, or maybe 3, it is time to choose your curing unit. The way you would choose your curing unit after doing your homework of narrowing down your brands is not by price or even looks. I know you're tempted. I would hope it is within your price range and that it indeed looks gorgeous if, looks is what you're looking for. But the decision on what unit to buy ultimately should come down to the number 1 product line you use the most, with your plan B being the second brand you use the most. This way, you take out the guesswork of being your own electrician, trying to figure out the wattage, power input and output, or wavelength range you should look out for. Now, I'm going to pretend to be a scientist for like 3 minutes in a little bit when I try to explain to you a few of these components, but I'll also be dropping links in the description box below for you, again, to study and research the topic from actual scientists and pros. All right, so now let's say you do your part and buy the unit you're supposed to. Well, congrats. You can confidently contact the manufacturer for their support if something seems to not be curing properly. Now, if you mixed another brand in your application, do a test cure of each gel separately to make sure it isn't either product that seems to not be curing. You can do this by placing a little dollop of gel, let's say on a form or other peelable surface, and then ensure that even the underside has cured, and this will tell you that the light is indeed curing the product that you are using. Now let's just say that for whatever reason you're like, Paola, that way of buying my unit doesn't work out for me. Either you don't like the unit your main brand uses, they don't have one, you've already had a bad experience with it, whatever the case may be. Then here are 3 things you should consider before buying a unit. At least these are the 3 guidelines I personally myself would use right now to buy a curing unit if I was going outside of my main brands. Number 1, power. Again, this topic of power, I'm going to leave to the pros to dissect because it definitely is more technical than just, use a 36 watt instead of a 9 watt curing unit. So I'll put a couple links down again in the description box below. Do check them out at the end of this video. I think in general, most of us understand that we will not be curing nails in the salon with a little handheld lamp, but rather the full size, full power unit. With that being said, yes, the minimum average power wattage usually is about 24 or 36 watt. So when you're buying a unit, maybe you want to make sure that it's 24 or 36 watt. I think 36 watt is a little bit more common and standard. But as I understand it, the quality of parts plays a significant role into that power variable. For example, the quality of the AC adapter, the circuit board, and wires, among other parts and technicalities that I probably don't have a brain for myself. And if you think about it, this is the case for all of our electronics though. Whether you know it or not, right? You can only imagine that our television or microwave set or car, for that matter, all have competitors that source their parts from different places. The same is true with your curing unit. So the second variable that I would use to determine what unit to buy, besides power, is wavelength. Nowadays, lamps are created or designed to be UV LED. What does that mean, you may be wondering? Well, in like super lame terms, not even layman, just lame terms. Basically, in the industry, we have UV curing gels and LED curing gels. Now I'm going to show you in a little bit why when we say LED, we're actually not correctly labeling that type of gel. So UV LED, it means that it will cure your gel whether it has a UV spectrum photoinitiator only, which is in the vicinity of 365 to 380 nanometers, or a photoinitiator that emits deep violet or violet spectrum light, and that is higher than 380 or up to 420 nanometers. Some gels only have UV spectrum curing photoinitiator. Others only have deep violet spectrum curing photoinitiator. And again, by the way, if deep violet spectrum light sounds boring, it's because we've mislabeled these gels for years by simply calling them LED gels. While generally the correct thing to say is that there is not one curing unit that will cure all gels, having a dual wave unit, so one that cures both photoinitiators, UV and DV, will cure most of the gels in the market so long as it is a quality unit, so it has power via its quality parts. Again, you have to assume that the power is there via the quality parts of the unit, and usually the price will hint at this. And so now you may be seeing why a $50 unit online versus a manufacturer's choice at $200 may have such a price discrepancy. Again, you can kind of fight it for a little bit, but I must tell you that if you cannot have peace of mind when curing your gels, especially as a pro, we have no business charging a client premium pricing, which is what we teach in our course. $50, $60, $70, $90 for a manicure. If we cannot guarantee them a cure, a safe cure, one that's not going to cause service breakdowns or make them allergic to any products. Again, the price discrepancy may indicate that one company took the time, money, and energy to source out high quality parts, including, by the way, the type of LED bulbs in your lamp, to ensure you're getting consistent and powerful cure for the next 2 to 3 years. Now, please never rub your LED bulbs with acetone because it will mug them, it will blur them, and you're going to affect your cure. So just use a light alcohol solution to clean any gel or anything off of your unit inside where the bulbs are. Simply put, I recommend buying from pro brands, especially if you're already a licensed pro or planning on becoming charming one. Remember, your quality unit should come from the first, second, or third brand you've chosen to work with. I work with Leaf Gel, Cocoas, and Vetro, and so I have 2 units, the Cocoas one and the Leaf Gel one. And just know, on a little side note, that a gel is not cured completely just because it has hardened, my friend. That's very important to know. Gels usually harden in like 15 seconds, maybe 20 seconds, but that's not to say that they're fully cured. They need that 30 seconds, sometimes that's 60 seconds. Now, the number 3 factor I would use to make a curing unit purchase is number and position of bulbs. This is literally a visual inspection of where the bulbs are at. Is there enough at the front and back of the lamp? Is there one by the thumbs or a few by the thumbs? Is there a lot of bulbs, period? Because LED bulbs are position specific, you literally can test that your bulbs are at a prime location where your fingers will sit simply by putting your hand inside the unit and ensuring there is a bulb right over the nails. That's what I mean by LED being position specific. There literally has to be an LED bulb over that fingernail in order for there to be a proper cure. So you can see why a unit that has more little bulbs is probably going to be more effective at curing your gels. Now, just another little side note, a lot of people do kind of wonder if having a white base to their unit or a reflective base is better. Well, actually both reflect light, whether you know it or not. White background actually bounces light back, so it's okay for it to be white, and so the metallic surface is also going to reflect light back. However, I've noticed that in a couple units, the removable tray, when it's white, sometimes it's not acetone proof, and so obviously the metallic one, the metal one, will be acetone proof. So that's like the only difference. So after narrowing down my brands, those are my 3 buying factors: power, wavelength range, and amount and position of bulbs. After these 3 factors, I would then look at aesthetics, sure, of the lamp, if they are important to me, and my budget, of course. Sometimes you buy a unit and it feels cheap, but doesn't feel durable, it's not acetone resistant, etc., etc. So then there are these other superficial or less important factors, okay? Now that we've cleared up what we really mean when we're saying LED gels, let me briefly talk about bulbs. So LED refers to the bulb emitting the light, not the type of light that it is emitting. If you've been around the industry for a little while, you may be familiar with long lamp bulbs. These types of long bulbs are actually called CFL, and in our curing units way back when, they emitted UV spectrum light. Now, after you've bought your quality unit and you still have like maybe, you know, a few stragglers of brands that are not within your top 2 or 3 brands, maybe you're now on like brand 4, but it's a color that you really have to buy or a top coat that you can't live without, whatever the case may be, just always cure your gels 60 seconds if they are not from the brand of the light that you just purchased. That should generally keep you safe. And unlike when the LED units first came out, by the way, and we were being told that they will last about 5 years, manufacturers have now learned that for whatever reason, lamps, the whole unit, in other words, should be switched about every 2 to 3 years. So if you're a fully booked tech, go for that 2-year mark. Well, while I like to say that choosing a lamp is super easy, I think you definitely need to use a few or all of the factors covered in this video to make the best decision on a curing unit. Sometimes you may be able to find a replica of your manufacturer's unit, say on Amazon, but just because the shell of the machine is the same, like the outside, does not mean the hardware inside are quality or even the same. Just like the parts in your vehicle, in your refrigerator, and other electronics, they vary in quality, so do the ones in your unit. Now, if you're interested in either the Cocoas or Leaf Gel unit that I use, I have made separate video reviews on each. I'll also pop those links in the description box below, along with other videos directly from the pros on this topic of lamps, and also any current active product promo codes. I hope this episode 4 of our Japanese gel nail series helped you tremendously, and if it did, do me a big favor and give this video a thumbs up. Find me here again next week for episode 5 of the series, all about nail prep products needed with Japanese gel. That's Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Mark your calendar, hit the bell notification below, or join our email club to get a notification as soon as it goes live. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.